Today is December 3rd, 2020, and we are here on the conversation with co-creators Convergence and another phenomenal conversationalist, Elliott Robertson. So Elliott found his way to co-creators Convergence, and just through the beautiful way that this network weaves, and so much of us open-hearted, he is here tonight. But let me just first say a little bit. The conversation was started back in July, and they are having a 24/7 platform with conversations that change lives, save the world, save all the living people and species on the planet. And co-creators Convergence, Noelle's going to put something up in the chat box about the co-creators Convergence group that really came forth from a lot of the work that Barbara Marx Hubbard did. So we have this beautiful opportunity to gather together and co-create. And tonight, Elliott is going to be doing some magic with us about awakening our heart and accessing our heart rhythm. And I'm actually just going to read a little something. Elliott and I, from a personality standpoint, are new friends. And from a heart standpoint, I think have been connected for a long time. So I'm getting to know him, from that personality world. But in the short time that we met, and actually our first conversation, which we both came to very open-heartedly, I really had a transformational moment in something that I was going through, just with his beautiful, warm-hearted words. So I know that tonight is going to bring all of us an amazing opportunity to really be in deeper alignment with our own heart and connect. So, of course, accessing the heart rhythm, or at the heart, I say rhythm because that's the work of Heart Thread. Accessing the heart wisdom is a favorite of mine. It's what I do in the work that I offer. And so let me read this. Elliott Robertson is the author of Say Yes to Life, 7 Keys of Living Full Out from Within, and Gathering of Servants, Birthing a New Community Through the Heart. His articles have been published in Science of Mind, The Good Men Project, and Miracles. He has served as a staff writer for the Daily Word. Elliott holds a master's degree in psychology and is a certified Happy for No Reason, has created his own certified Happy for No Reason workshop. So he's a leader in this area. He's designed workshops on sacred masculinity, and he offers many, many coaching programs. So, Elliott, I know that you really like to encourage people to stand in their vastness and to really, just acknowledge the spaciousness of who they are and what they have to access. So welcome. I know you had a few key points you wanted me to mention. If you need a pen and paper, you might want to have that available. And Elliott, I'm going to turn it over to you with a really big heartfelt welcome.
Thank you so much, Karen. I so appreciate that beautiful introduction, and I appreciate your open-heartedness. I can just feel it from this end. And yes, pen and paper can be useful. You'll have a chance to do maybe 1 or 2 drawings over the next hour or so. And if you don't want to make a trip to find a piece of paper or whatever, it's fine. Those are optional exercises. You could even use a scrap of an envelope or whatever. Just a little quick exercise we're going to be doing. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much to Noelle and Bob for all that you've been doing, for the Facebook group that is out there. That's sort of how I discovered CCC, for just the annual events that go on. I haven't made it to any annual events. I've only been a part of CCC on the Facebook page for a couple of years now. And also for just including me in this podcast series, and for the genius of this podcast series of having it be interactive and through Zoom, so different from the traditional series, format. And I've already received a gift from this experience. This morning, I was at a cafe yesterday morning, I had sort of started to put an outline together. It would have been much easier to do a one-day workshop than just 90 minutes. Just choosing what on earth to include in 90 minutes was a little bit of a challenge. Um, so I was at a cafe yesterday and I got a outline together for this evening, but I wanted to just, work on it some more. And so I just left the cafe thinking, making a plan to show up the next day at the cafe and to continue to work on it. I love going to cafes first thing in the morning. That's whether I'm writing a to-do list or an article, I just almost always feel this juiciness about it. It just really gets me tapped in and turned on. But this morning, I was totally flat. I was looking through my notes from the day before. I was just really wondering, what's going on? Why am I not feeling the same juiciness I felt yesterday? And so anyway, I left the cafe eventually. I might have kept pushing if it had been a warmer day. And then I was just walking back home. I was like, okay, I'll take care of this later. And on the walk back, I had this moment of clarity. It was such a gift to me. A clarity about how I was going with a plan, and I hadn't even checked in with myself. I didn't ask, do I want to go to the cafe and work on this or anything like that? I hadn't shown up for myself. I hadn't asked my heart, what do you want? And I guess I had that moment of clarity when on the way back, I was like, I really want to swing over and get a coffee over there. My heart was so aware of getting another cup of coffee. I never have two cups of coffee, from a certain place. And I honored that. And then my heart wanted to go to the park. And so I honored that. And what I realized was that sometimes plans can be a pathway that doesn't necessarily allow for honoring the heart. It can sort of interfere with that sometimes. Eventually in the morning, I did listen to my heart. I'd like to sort of start off by giving those of you who don't know me, especially, we have tons of people now, perhaps, but I'd like to give people a few people, a chance to sort of say hello, get your voice in the room, put your energy into this podcast, and sort of introduce yourself. And I have a special way of just starting the introductions off. It's going to be something I appreciate about myself is. So if I were to start us off, I might say something I appreciate about myself is my love for cats, or something I appreciate about myself is my willingness to learn, or something I appreciate about myself is my loyalty to my friends, or something I appreciate about myself is my tenderness. So one or two things from whoever wants to chime in. You're welcome to unmute yourself, and we'll have a few people share, please, if you'd like to.
Well, I can start, Elliott. I'm Elsie and I'm in Michigan. And are you finding me? Can you see me?
Yes, please share. Something I appreciate about myself is.
Something I appreciate about myself is my love, my openness, and my love for animals, all kinds of animals.
Thank you. Anyone else want to chime in?
This is Sheila.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm working tonight, but I'm tuning in because this is so important. Great people here that I love. And one of the things I love about myself is that I am compassionate.
Beautiful. Thank you. And we'll take one or two more people, whoever's ready. Yes, Patricia.
Hi, I missed the very beginning, but I think that I know Ellen Bob. Good to see you. I'm Patricia Wagner, and what was the question?
You can say something I appreciate about myself is.
Something I appreciate about myself is that I am living my purpose.
Beautiful. Thank you. When I was introduced, the theme was announced, I guess. It was about accessing the heart's wisdom. And I like to take a backdoor approach, you might say, instead of, I don't think any of my practices are really a direct route to the front door. of the heart's wisdom house. One of the back doors is just really becoming more spacious and expansive and standing in your vastness. And when you are in your spaciousness, you have greater access to your heart's wisdom. Another way to think of it is just if you're in your spaciousness, that can serve as fertilizer for the garden, for the soil, that can give life to the tree of wisdom in the heart. So it just really does help with that connection, being in your vastness. So I think most of our time together will be going through that particular door. There are other doors also that can help with that connection. And just to let you know, a couple of days ago, I did a tarot card reading. I ended up getting the Eight of Swords, the Lovers, and the Wheel. And just focusing on the Eight of Swords, it was in reverse. The Eight of Swords card on the tarot is about being sensing, feeling like you're trapped in, it's the illusion of being trapped. So it was reversed. So I was thinking that the cosmos is supporting us right now in releasing the illusion of being trapped. And I've certainly been noticing in my own life that I've been letting go of that illusion of feeling a lack of confidence. That's the pattern that has sort of kept me stuck in illusion, stuck in that lower vibration that I've been releasing. And then right before this started, I was just having a conversation with Playfulness. I love the Playfulness goddess. And she was telling me that she was referring back to the Eight of Swords in reverse that I had drawn. And she was saying that Playfulness can help with releasing the Eight of Swords, releasing the illusion of being trapped, releasing the illusion in general. It can help with releasing those patterns. So I'm going to give you guys a chance to draw a couple of pictures of yourself. It's optional, and I'm only going to give you just a minute or two. So it's going to be just a quick sketch, nothing that you're going to need to frame. And the first picture is going to be a picture of what you look like, how you feel, the energy around being serious and solemn. So if you'd like to take a moment to do a real quick picture of that energy, feel free.
So, excuse me, Elliott, I'll picture myself as I feel solemn, or
It's going to be a picture of who you are when you're solemn or serious.
who I am.
What you look like and what your
solemn or
energy
serious.
looks like.
Okay.
And I know I'm rushing you. I apologize. I'm going to ask you to sort of bring that to a close and go to another picture. This one is a picture of the energy you radiate when you're carefree and when you're playful. And if anyone wants to share their pictures, you're welcome to hold them up to the camera if you want. That's, you know, totally optional, whatever you want to do. Or if you just want to look at your pictures, okay, let's take a look at that. Noelle, did you want to say anything about those pictures?
Well, this one is serious or solemn, and I was trying to make my eyes close, but It's hard for me to be serious and solemn, so my hair stands straight up. And this one is me like being whatever the other one was, playful or something.
Playful and carefree, yes.
Yeah, that's it. I'm a little cross-eyed.
Okay. So I'm just going to invite you guys to look at your pictures and to just notice if there is a more spacious or powerful or authentic self that's reflected in that second carefree, playful picture. Just notice if that vibe is more closer to your true self, or if it's more expansive, if it's reflective of your vast self. And just notice those are two representations of what's possible for you in ways you can show up. I was saying, I was talking with Playfulness right before this started.
There's Sheila's.
And-
Okay. Oh,
Pardon?
Sheila's showing her picture.
It's-
Oh, yes.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, Patricia, you drew that in that many seconds? Here. I also want to say that Jim Eaglesmith put in the Heart of Appreciation is the title of one of my favorite talks. I'm hearing 8 of Swords, releasing sounds nice. Elliott makes me smile already. So cool. Good to see you.
Hi, Sheila.
Yes, and
Good to see
we'll
you,
be
Sheila.
having lots of group sharing tonight. I'm trusting it's going to start pretty soon, and it's already starting, which is wonderful. Yeah, I was talking with Playfulness just a few minutes ago, and Playfulness was telling me that there's something about the energy of playfulness that situates you as a leader. It orients your inner posture to be more authentic and to be more spacious. And I'm going to go ahead and just read a little bit of something I wrote when I was just meeting Playfulness a few months ago. Playfulness was sort of new to me. So you can pretend you're at a poetry reading right now. It's not a poem, but maybe it is poetic. And I know I'm doing something that probably isn't usually done during podcasts, but I'm just going to ask you to bear with me while I read my handwriting if I could decipher it. Just to bring the spirit of playfulness more into this podcast for right now. And it's called Watering the Roots of Invincibility with Play. Playfulness is the doorway to imagination, wonder, innocence, and beginner's mind. It is childlike, a childlike presence that isn't hindered by prejudice. Playfulness is the child who asks questions freely. She isn't bound by what she already knows or what she thinks she knows. She doesn't dwell in cages imposed by belief systems. Play is like a strong river that allows the rocks she encounters to be as they are. Play is happy to adjust her course, to bounce off the rocks without complaining. What could be more powerful than adaptability and acceptance of what one encounters along the way? Play invites camaraderie, sisterhood, brotherhood, community, communication. Play electrifies the sky. Play says yes to who she is. Play hasn't learned the word no yet. Play hasn't been tamed by conventional thinking. She's able to see and hear without filters. She hasn't been told her light is too bright, her celebration too vibrant. She gives herself permission to celebrate the day, to delight in her existence, to party without a reason, excuse, or justification. She revels in all that defies what adults see as limits to possibility. She opens to seeing where life will take her when she travels without paddles. And she is happy to be surprised when exploration takes her to the new. She loves the juiciness of life, and she knows the same old doesn't have to define her life. She loves to kiss the dust on the threshold of God's door. If no one opens the tavern door when she knocks, she will look for an open window and crawl through. So that's a little bit of the spirit of play. It's so powerful, and it really goes hand in hand with having a broader view of what's possible. It can really get us out of the weeds. And that's another thing that is really so important to being available to the wisdom of the heart, is not getting trapped in the weeds, not just looking at each of the trees in the forest. A lot of people have been doing that, especially on the political level lately, and just the world in general with COVID. Never mind politics, you know, there's been a lot of adjustment needed. So many people are just going around saying, I want things to be this way, not that way. It has been a tendency we've always had as human beings, but I've just been seeing it so much more in 2020. And so it's just looking at all of the trees that are out of place or whatever, or not things that aren't the way you're used to them being, and complaining about it. And of course, there does need to be grief. You know, when you're losing something, grief needs to be honored. At the same time, I really am encouraging people to take a higher level view, the bird's eye view. This is sort of a little bit related to playfulness. It's also another way of being spacious. It's just looking at everything that's around you in your own personal life, if you want to, in the general society also. Looking from such a high altitude that you're able to see not only where you are right now, but to look further down the road. This high altitude vibe of seeing is something that can, you know, lead to your imagining things. It's tied to imagination. It allows the spaciousness to wonder if, well, maybe we're going to decide that war isn't necessary anymore in a few years. Maybe because, you know, there's this airborne virus, maybe it'll take away the boundaries. You know, all sorts of what if questions can come forward. And if we had a lot of time today, I might invite you guys to go ahead and draw a picture once again. This time it could include what the path a year or two from now looks like, just a view of your life from a bird's eye view. And if you want to do that later on this week, you're welcome to. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and just ask if playfulness has anything else that needs to be brought up right this moment. And if not, then maybe we'll move on to something else that can get us into the house of having access to the heart's wisdom. Yeah, playfulness is saying that
I think there's a lot for this group to say about playfulness, because it's always an essential part of our co-creators convergence.
Oh, I didn't know. Oh, we must go into group sharing in just a minute about playfulness in that case. Thank you so much for letting me know, Noelle.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to let you know that playfulness has just told me that she is so good at keeping us from getting stuck in the hamster wheel of the mind. You know, the mind's thoughts can really keep us in a hamster wheel. In fact, I go by this park like twice a week at least, and I just noticed just a few days ago, oh my goodness, the park's trees are all bare. I totally missed the turning of the colors, because every time I was walking by the park twice a week, 3 times a week, I was just so absorbed in the hamster wheel of my thoughts. I was really surprised. So if I had been more playful on those walks, if that spirit had been with me, I might not have been as trapped by that. So yes, let's have some time for some group sharing, please. I'd love to hear how everything's going for you so far, what your own thoughts about playfulness are, just anything you'd like to share with the group, or anything about your picture drawing experience or anything else.
I'll jump in, as I'm sure Noelle and Bob are expecting me to talk about, because I've worked with play a lot, Elliott, because I write about creativity. And one of the things that I talk about is the possibility space, being in the possibility space. And those who have been to CCC when I'm there are familiar with my.
It went pretty good. I just had to turn that.
Literally the love for the possibility space. And the other thing that I would mention is that what we're involved in, I believe what we're involved in right now, and including the expansiveness that allows us to step into play, is that we're experiencing the infinite playground. That right now, you know, with the changes and the energetic changes and the movement into the expansion that we're experiencing with the changes in the energy and the different frequencies, is that we're in the infinite playground. And so we can observe and play and be silly and, you know, imagine and listen to our intuition, all of the things that you talked about. So I'm really in sync with that, and I love what you're saying. Thank you.
Thank you, Elsie. I appreciate that. And does Bob want to share something?
Yeah, the thing that struck me about my pictures were that the playfulness me was larger by at least 50 to 100%. In other words, the dimensions of the drawing of myself, despite the extremely expressive art, was bigger. Playfulness is bigger than solemn.
Yeah, solemnness could be constricted, couldn't it?
My shoulders are down in solemn. Yes.
Same with me. Mine's about a quarter the size of the other one. But I know there's others that want to speak, so I'm going to yield the field. Karen?
I wanted to say welcome, Rita, who popped in there. And yeah, just a joy. I mean, for me, I get to learn a lot about playfulness with Noelle. And you see, she put her big, I think, butterfly or something on her head there. But what I really liked hearing is about how much playfulness contributes to leadership, you know, and just that openness. That was I hadn't really connected that before.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a surprise when Play told me that earlier today, yes. Yeah, it really does orient, or it helps us set our sails in a different direction, or inner sails.
We always make sure when we have the co-creators convergence that we do have a lot of play time. We've had Play-Doh, we've had art remodeling. We have a lot that actually I am a fairy from the Middle Kingdom, and that's another one of our members, Victoria Friedman, has a whole spirit club that some of us are members of. That's for the Middle Kingdom, that where we live and communicate. We also have Reverend Marcia McCartney, who does laughter yoga with us. And, you know, we do have a lot of play. I think it's highly valued because I think it also brings joy, which is a very high vibration, if not one of the highest. So with that, I'm going to zip it. Don't want to dominate here.
Yeah, I'm just going to add to that play can help us with relaxation. We can relax into our body when we're playing. Play can also open the space up for just having that creativity and the new solutions that just aren't going to be available because it's so much more of a pathway to the intuition. It's so close to that. And the mind has no intuition, and the mind has no wisdom. It does not, those things dwell in the heart, the intuition and the wisdom. So, you know, we are in a culture, in a zeitgeist, in a milieu that really does tend to support us in staying in our mind a lot. And so for a lot of people, play is a foreign language. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir, though, when I'm talking about play. I imagine that all of you have things that you could be teaching me about play, because I'm sort of a newbie in that domain. And we will be moving on to other things as well. So there might be something that's new for some of you who are already play experts as we move on. I do want to just take one moment to ask the tarot cards if they are going to be helping me to get in touch with anything else about play before we leave play behind. And I also am happy to take another one or two sharings about play if anyone else really wants to chime in on that. Yes, Patricia.
Thanks, Elliott. I have always been sort of a serious person. And I had a vision back in 1999 about gratitude. And even though I knew it was spirit sent, I really didn't pay attention to it, or at least I didn't apply it into my own mind or into my own life until about 2.5 years ago. And then I started talking and organizing groups on living in heart-centered gratitude. And by giving talks on it and holding these experiments, these 7-day experiments, I had to do it myself. And so I've been doing it for 2.5 years now. And I can tell you that by living in heart-centered gratitude, it has awakened the playfulness in me. It's awakened so much more, but it has awakened that connection, that unity, that giving nature. It's connected me with people, and it's connected me with myself in that creative realm of playfulness. So anyway, I just wanted to share that living in heart-centered gratitude, which is different than thinking about gratitude. It's actually anchoring into the feeling tone of gratitude in the heart. And it just makes all the difference in the world when you anchor there and you live from there, where you don't get thrown off, that becomes your number one priority.
Thank
Just wanted to share
you.
that with you. Yeah.
Thank you. And I just saw a chat pop up on the screen from Hugo. Would somebody like to share what that chat says?
It says playfulness. For me, it is the fuel to all human activities towards happiness.
Yes. Gratitude is, I sometimes feel like that's the most powerful thing there is on the planet. So Patricia, I thank you for that. Hugo, I thank you for that. Also, both of those are so powerful. Of course, David Stendhal-Ross recently published a book about gratitude. I can't wait to read that. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just draw a card from Amanda Ellis's deck, Metatron deck, and see if it brings up any other insights into playfulness. A card about playfulness, please. A card about playfulness. Okay. I'm getting communication. Speak up and be heard. I can see how playfulness can help us access the courage to communicate. And maybe can also help us with the other side of communication, which is listening. I'm going to sit with that. I don't have any more information right now. I don't know if I'm going to be able to access anything more about that right this minute, but I think that's what the goddess wanted to add to the conversation.
Well, it makes sense to me, because sometimes when you have to talk to a boss or let's say you're having a little difficulty with someone, if you can frame it in a playful way about, how it might be done better or something, it takes the edge off of somebody feeling reactive. If you can use some humor in what you try to make your message land to improve the experience for all of you.
I appreciate that. And it's so nice that we're getting a couple of different, maybe even another one coming up with Elsie and with Rita. But you and I, Noelle, had different responses to the card. For me, I was thinking the card was telling me that if I'm playful, then the door to being courageous, to communicate something, to have a difficult conversation is opened up within me. So I access the courage. Rita, you haven't spoken yet. Welcome, my dear friend.
Thank you. I was in another Zoom meeting and I didn't realize how late it was, but it was Signe Wilkinson, who is a local political cartoonist, and she was talking about her whole career and her political cartoons, and this just fits. Cartoon has got a sense of humor in it, but it's like it was a powerful tool for expressing political views, and she actually ranged the whole gamut. But I was very impressed with her thoughtfulness and her what she was doing with her art, and so it was. Well, she got a lot of flack for it at times too, but it took a lot of courage to say a lot of what she was trying to say.
Thank you, Rita, and thank you for jumping over here right after something else and showing up. Elsie, did you want to share one more thing?
I'm sorry, I'm sharing a lot, but
That's okay.
There's a story that keeps popping into my head. That it's a memory. When I first started teaching, I was a music teacher for about 20 years, and I was a clarinetist and was trained primarily, as an instrumental musician, could have been a band director or whatever. And I ended up teaching elementary music. And the reason that I loved elementary music was because we could play. That was back in the 1960s when I first started. And, we could play instruments and we could dance and we could do all of those enjoyable things that were a lot different than just standing in front of the band or orchestra and doing all of the technique. When I left that job, I left teaching to go to do something else. Ultimately, I was teaching elementary music again. I had been in and out, and I said to the children, and I think it was a second grade class. I said, "Well, Ms. Ritzenhein I'm going to be leaving," and the teacher and I were talking about that. And everybody looked very sad. And I thought, wow, what a nice compliment, And this one little child looked up and said, "Oh, but Ms. Ritzenheim, who's going to make us laugh?" And I thought, I have never forgotten that story and how heartwarming that was, because it wasn't, who's going to teach us to read music or who's going to teach us to sing this song, but who's going to make us laugh. And that's coming in for me, that I think it was a memory of how important laughter is and how important that is to be connected at the heart at whatever level we are. It doesn't necessarily have to be with little children, but I do remember that when I watch my granddaughters, who are 4 and 6, who are great quantum spirits, and remember to watch and see how they laugh and what free spirits they are, and try to bring that spirit into the work that I do. So just wanted to share that. So.
Thank you, Elsie. I love that story. And I mean, of course, it points to, and maybe at the hub of that umbrella of your story is just the importance of relationships. So there you were, having a real human relationship with all of your students. My goodness, isn't that really what the heart of education is all about? Oh, you've made my day with that story. Thank you. I'm going to sort of ask us to move away from playful. I know we want to stay there all day, but there are other things that can help us access the wisdom of our heart and fertilize that soil. And this is all, I think this might also be related to expansiveness. But at any rate, it is a backdoor to the house, whatever it's related to. I'm just going to invite all of us to think for a moment, to ask ourselves for a moment, or have there been times in your life when your heart has been letting you know about something that you want to do, maybe a heart's desire, and maybe you said, well, maybe after the kids are out of the nest, or maybe after I get a promotion and I have more money, or just some sort of postponement, or some sort of dismissing the heart, some sort of, oh, that's not practical, some sort of being neglectful of the heart. In my case, I wasn't really checking in with my heart this morning when I just went to the cafe, because that was what I had planned 24 hours ago. Didn't even think to ask my heart, So I just wanted to encourage you to just take a moment to just be with all of the different ways, all of the different facets of that diamond, in which being away from your heart, or not acknowledging your heart or honoring your heart, might show up for you sometimes. You don't have to think of specific things, but just as long as you can get in touch with, yeah, I have a tendency to do that sometimes, or yeah, I generally just sort of go through life without really putting the heart at the center, or really strengthening that relationship with the heart. So go ahead and just, if you were going to apologize to your heart for something, maybe not a specific moment, it doesn't have to be, oh, at the cafe, you know, I ignored you and I just stayed there and kept trying to figure out the outline for tonight. It doesn't have to be specific like that at all. It can be very general and just an awareness that this might be a behavior or whatever, this dismissing, this discounting, this making the heart be a little bit in the back seat, is sort of unimportant. So we'll just take a moment to sit with that, just to notice. No judgments are necessary. Okay. And now I'm going to do something that I call the 3 chairs exercise. I also call it listening to the heart or communicating with the heart. We don't have to do it in chairs. I'm going to ask you, maybe it might be easier to stand up for just a few minutes to do this. And so after I sort of give you a quick overview of what we're going to be doing, you can stand up and go ahead and notice 3 locations that are really near where you are right now. You don't have to have distant locations. So in my case, this is going to be the place number 1. And I'm just going to take 1 step over, and this is going to be place number 2. And then I'm going to finish off the triangle, an equilateral. Oh, are people having trouble hearing me? Oh, okay.
You're good. You're
and
good.
now I'm going to just take it's going to be an equilateral triangle, and the 3rd point is going to be over here. So I've just walked in a triangle. Now I know what 3 places for this little exercise that we're going to do. It's optional, of course, you know, whatever you want to do. And the first place is where I'm going to be standing at the start. So if you want to just find your 3 places, or you don't have to walk in those 3 spots, but you can just put an eye out there. They can be right next to each other. Like for me, it was 1 step away. And what we're going to do is we're going to stand in spot number 1, and we're going to look at spot number 2. Spot number 2 was over here for me. And that's where my heart is right now. My heart is right next to me. And I'm going to look straight at my heart, and I'm going to apologize to my heart for whatever needs to be apologized for in the moment, for all of the years of neglecting the heart or whatever it is. And I'll give you just a minute to do that, and then I'll ask you to bring it to a close, and we'll continue, okay? Go ahead and talk out loud if you want to your heart, and from your heart, talk to the heart. And wherever you are, you can bring that to a close. You can do this exercise again some other time if there's more. Go ahead and move to your heart now. You're going to be your heart. And you're going to look at yourself, straight at the one who just talked to you, who apologized. And you're going to respond with whatever's true for you right now. Just let your heart give a sincere response to that apology. And wherever you are, we're going to bring that to a close. And you're going to go to the 3rd spot. Now in the 3rd spot, you're not looking at the 1st spot. You're not looking at the 2nd spot. You're looking at the space in between the 1st and 2nd place. The space in between you, when you apologized, and the heart. You're looking at that in-between relationship space, and you are the witness now. And you can go really deep when you're the witness, really deep, sinking deep into who you are, deep into your honesty, no judgments, just witness. And when you get really deep, go ahead and find what's there. Maybe it's something I'm observing in the relationship, is something I'm noticing right now, whatever it might be. And the witness can bring that to a close. And you can return to this first spot. And normally, if you weren't feeling really complete, you could do in a second round if you wanted to. Tonight, we're just going to go ahead and move to the closing part. You can look at the heart, and in whatever way is appropriate for you right now, you can say thank you to your heart. Maybe it's just thank you for being expressive, or maybe it's just thank you for listening to my apology, whatever you want to thank them with, thank her with. And then a quick thank you also to the witness. Go ahead and look at the witness now. Thank the witness, however that's appropriate. And then we can just come back to the group. And if there's anyone who wants to share about that, we can take some time for sharing. And maybe nobody wants to share about that, and that's okay too.
Jim, did you want to jump in here?
Yeah. Oop.
You.
Okay. My heart is right next to me. I apologized to my heart. And I said, sorry for not trusting you more. Then looking at the heart and responded to that apology with, I forgive you. And then I'm observing myself quietly moving into deeper listening and closing with, I love us.
That touches my soul. Thank you so much. I hold this exercise as sacred. It's one of my favorite exercises, so I'm so glad to be sharing it with you today. If there's anyone else, we can take one more sharing perhaps. And if not, that's okay.
You want to share? I'll just share that I love this exercise. I thought it was, it's many times where I say, I thank my body, I thank my feet, I thank my had a broken wrist, now it's all better. And I'm thinking like, well, damn, when did I thank my heart? And the intelligence of the heart is, number one. So I thank you for that. Thank you for that. I'll be doing this some more. I'll be doing this some more. It was perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
whenever you feel called to, go right ahead. And another thing that sort of complementary to this, is synergistic, is right when you wake up, when you're in that moment, when you're open to suggestion and self-hypnosis, to allow affirmations about your heart to be the first thing you think of. You can say, thank you, God, for my heart's capacity to love. Thank you, God, for my heart's eagerness to love. all sorts of things like that. So you can come up with your own affirmations. And then the heart will once again have more support and more attention. The other thing that can help us to cultivate and fertilize the soil is just being friends with every voice within you. And I know a lot of people talk about this. I imagine that a lot of you are already practicing this in your own way. And nonetheless, I would love to spend a little bit of time working on cultivating a friendship with the parts of us that we might not necessarily gravitate towards, like the part of us that sometimes worries or has doubts. We need to be friends with our inner worrier. That can help us be more expansive. It can help set us free from feeling like we're caged in. The worrier tends to pull us down into the weeds and keep us away from the bird's eye view. And if we're friends with the worrier will have less time spent at the wheel of the car throughout the day. So if you'd like to do a guided visualization, you're welcome to join me with this short visualization, and we'll have more time for sharing afterwards. And you can and when I do guided visualizations, of course, I always encourage you to go with whatever your intuition presents. Marcy Scheimoff, who certified me in Happy for No Reason workshops, was leading a meditation once, and I guess she was leading the visualization to encounter your higher self. My intuition said Ganesh. So there I was doing my own meditation while everybody else in the room may have been doing their own meditation. And so that's just whatever you experience is the more important thing than whatever I have to say. I can sort of be the background music for the meditation if you want it to be. So go ahead, and if you want to, you can close your eyes. You can just go deep, deep into your depths and relax. Let the relaxation flow all the way through your body. And you're walking along the shoreline. There's nobody on the shoreline except for you. The sun is shining. You hear the sound and the smell of the waves. And you're so relaxed and warmed up by the sun. And now you encounter an ascended master before you. The ascended master greets you by name with a smile. The ascended master is so glad to see you. And now you notice a child is next to you. All this time you had been walking along the shore and you hadn't noticed this inner child who's right next to you. This ascended master tells you that friendship is wanting good things to come to other people, wishing the best for someone else is what friendship is. And you look at the inner child who's right next to you, and you feel those wishes pouring through your whole soul, through your body, through your heart. wishing only good things for this little child. And if you want to speak your wishes for good things, you can to the inner child. And now the Ascended Master tells you that there are people waiting for you away from the shore in the direction of the mountains that are in the distance. So you bid the Ascended Master goodbye, and you and the inner child head off in the direction of the mountains. You leave the sandy beach and now you're on the fields. There are a few trees scattered here and there on the green field. And up ahead you see a table. And your dearest, closest, most treasured friends are sitting around the table. So you keep going until you join them. They're so glad to see you. One of them says, "We've been waiting for you. Look at the banquet here." And you look at the food on the table. Everyone is sitting around the table, but there are still 2 chairs right next to each other. One for you and one for your inner child. So you both sit down with your friends, celebrating the friend's presence, celebrating the nourishment of the food. And you look across the table, and right across from you, there's one more empty chair. And you have this inner knowing that that chair is for the worry voice within you that sometimes worries about a certain thing. Maybe the one in you who's always worried about finances, or the one who's always worried about a relationship. You know who it's for. So you ask that one to go over there, to show up and sit in that chair, and to enjoy the feast and the friendship and the festivities. And you look at the one sitting across the table from you. You look into that one's eyes. And you know that you're large enough to sit without being afraid of this one, to sit with this one, to hold this one within you. You know that you're large enough and masterful enough to just be with this one, to call this one a friend. And so you go ahead and feel a bond with this one. And allow this one to be one more friend at the table, one more friend at life's banquet. And you can just come back into the space where you are now in your own time. And once again, I really want to keep this time together interactive. So if anyone wants to share anything about the last hour we spent together, you're welcome to.
Well, South Dakota Kate would pipe in and just say, thank you so much, sir. I so resonate with you. Can't schedule anything around the heart. And, you know, I feel like our power really lies in leveraging that imaginary, playful. I like how Elsie always taught, you know, the playground of co-creativity. That's kind of where we meet. And as everyone brings their different perspectives on what this wheel of co-creation looks like and feels like to them, I just feel like it inspires us in even more creative ways. And we're just learning how to be together, you know, kind of learning these new skills. And I feel like, you know, I actually, Nina Patrick very often references that you're around a table, and she had her evolutionary call in this very, you know, in a breakout room in this space at 9 o'clock this morning. So I feel like I got to, that I'm living this kind of dream reality, you know, that truthfully I am around the table with many of you brilliant, beautiful beacons of light and hope around the planet, and bringing our stories together and playing together. Well, it just doesn't get any better. And thank you for listening. And I just wanted to thank you, Elliott, for bringing us into the play space together. Honored to be in circle. The talkway. Awesome.
And thank you so much for showing up today, Clover. Showing up is something that's so powerful. It's another back door to being able to access wisdom when we show up for ourselves. That goes hand in hand with listening to our hearts. And one of the questions that I ended out asking myself later in the day, after I just trotted off to the cafe and then felt so flat and so uninspired by what was happening this evening. In that moment at the cafe, I just was not into, that's just not the place my heart wanted to be. And so I really didn't make any progress. So one of the questions that I asked myself later was, what do I need and require to listen to myself and to my heart more? So if you'd like to just take a moment, either with pen and paper, or you can try it without pen and paper. If you want to do it with pen and paper, you can just, write down the question first. What do I need and require to listen to myself or to listen to my heart? You can use any language you want. And
say it one more time, please, Elliott.
Yeah, what do I need and require to listen to myself? Or you can go with, what do I need and require to listen to my heart, if you want to put it that way. And then go ahead and just listen deeply to the answer. See what shows up for you. This can be very deep and profound. What do I need and require to listen to my heart? It could start with, I need to know. That could be what the start is, but maybe it's different for you. For me, it started with that. Sometimes when I ask, what do I need and require for whatever, I get a bunch of bullet points, a bunch of little sentences. And sometimes it's just one or two. And of course, if you ask the question tomorrow, you might get some different answers, or maybe it'll still be the same.
You could just unmute yourself.
Less distractions and less noise.
Okay, yeah, you're welcome to share this with the group if you'd like. And some people feel like the answers can be sacred answers, private answers. So if you'd rather keep it private, that's fine too. Either way is just perfectly fine.
Anna, did you want to contribute something? I thought you had unmuted to speak.
Who?
Who were you talking to, Noel?
You, Shannon. I didn't know whether you wanted to contribute.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm honored. And I wish I had come in earlier so that I could be in the flow with you. It seems like right action that you are undertaking. And honestly, I'm supposed to be, on time with Spirit in Gaia's Zoom room. And so I am going to go and entertain her in a concurrent Zoom room and invite each of you to, when you're finished here, to come on over and see what's going on in Gaia's Zoom room. And thank you so much for welcoming me here. Bye for now. Sorry to interrupt, Elliott.
My heart is so
Thank you,
happy
Shannon.
right now that you were able to join us, Shannon. So nice to meet you.
See you later, I hope.
Shannon, we will have the recording up probably tomorrow on the Co-Creators Convergence website. Elliott has led us through some beautiful processes.
Yeah, thank you, Elliott. That was so beautiful. And I mean, just for me, I mean, I feel really blessed because I've really delved the last 10 years into this work of the heart. That's what Heart Thread really does, helping other people listen to their own heart. So for me, it's so much more natural now, which is wonderful. And that kind of reminder when I picked it back up again of when I was a child and playing and open and free. So those are some of my things: openness, freedom, space, breath, vastness helps me listen to my heart. This was a beautiful, really beautiful reflection.
Yes, I imagine that everyone here might be familiar with heart math and all of their research about the heart and its electromagnetic field. And I just recently discovered a scientific study was done. Peggy Black was the one who shared this with me. A scientific study in Germany that showed that the light and the photons is truly 1,000 times more than the normal person for those who are doing a Sufi kind of meditation. I think that they were doing the heart rhythm meditation for that study. And I imagine that might be true for the kind of meditation I do as well, Sahaj, which is like transcendental meditation. Bob, did you want to say something?
How'd you know that?
Pardon me?
How did you know that?
I got a clue from someone.
Oh, okay. Okay, fine. What do I need and require to listen to my heart? What the words that I wrote down were state change, breathe. These are my bullets. State change, breath, recognition of this moment, and smile. And yesterday I went up on the roof of the RV to scrape the snow off. Noel had told me not to go up there because I might slip. And so of course I went up there. And when I got up there, I have hardly any tread left on my work tennis shoes. And it really was slippery. And so I just had this moment of a moment of fear. And then I actually thought about listening to my heart, and I did just that. I just had a state change of just pausing, taking a breath, recognizing the moment I was in, having positive memories of other times I've been on the roof of the RV scraping snow off in other parts of the country. And I just kind of started giggling to myself. And I knew with that giggle that I was in my heart at that time.
Thank you. And you've reminded me of something else that I was thinking of including in tonight's program. And since things have moved quicker than I thought they would, I'll go ahead and just say a few words about something that's sort of obvious, but that needs to be raised, I suppose. You know, I was saying that spaciousness is one of the back doors to, or one of the fertilizers for the garden, for the soil, of being able to access the heart's wisdom more easily and to just be centered in the heart throughout the day. And spaciousness sometimes looks like taking a breath after you've had a thought, instead of being on autopilot. Like I was saying, I discovered that I was on autopilot every time I walked past the park over the last few weeks. And I didn't notice that I didn't notice that it was fall and that the trees were changing colors. I was so surprised and startled by how the trees were so bare just a few days ago. And I realized, my kids, I totally missed fall this year. Even though it was just a few feet away from me, I walk right by the park all the time. And so I guess I was sort of on autopilot or something. I was not taking a breath and just stepping back and giving space for something else other than my thoughts and one thought after another, and just being absorbed in that, and that being all there was in my reality. This can also help us with the bird's eye view if we just give the space. You know, there was a Japanese artist who was showing his work at a gallery, and somebody came up and looked at the picture and said, I love the branch that you have in the tree, and the bird on the branch is wonderful. But look at all this space with nothing in it. Why did you leave so much space on the portrait blank? And the artist said, so the bird can have room to fly. We really need to have that space in our life. And so taking a step back, doing whatever you can to disassociate and not identify and not be just the mind, and that's all there is. The mind has so little to offer compared to the heart. And so if we can just somehow or other notice the thoughts and be their observer and create that space, eventually just that spaciousness will really become our normal way of being, and we won't have to be noticing it so much and being a manager of creating space so much. It'll just be right there. More people, please. I don't want to take up hog the mic. Go ahead, Noelle.
Jim Eaglesmith had something that he wanted to share that he put in the chat. Do you want to give voice to that, Jim?
Well, you mean my note about being late for the next one?
You said stillness and deep listening.
Oh, up a little higher, yes.
Yes.
That was right around the time Bob was sharing his, is that what I was getting at that time was pretty simple answers, just going into the stillness and offering deep listening to access, you know, a higher realm to be able to get in contact. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty simple, but can be powerful.
Right, it's taking that time to do it. And thanks, Jim. I know you have to bug out, but we love having you here, and we have excellent guests that Elliott is bringing next week. But Elliott, I also want to read to you. Sheila Blake says, I appreciate the reminder to stay in my heart. It's always the best way to make decisions, and yet I so easily forget. So I can. Thanks, Jim. See you next week, I hope. And
yes,
so I don't know if you want to. Yeah, go ahead and
For
wrap up
those,
some.
for those who forget sometimes, I really do think that there might be some power in self-hypnosis when you wake up in the morning to, I briefly touched on this earlier, to just let that be a time for acknowledging the heart, for maybe having an intention to have a relationship with the heart, a dialogue with the heart at some point in the day. Just a time for just dwelling in the relationship of you and your heart, and also to maybe even acknowledging and recognizing yourself for the baby steps you're taking in the direction of being more heart-centered. Also, gratitude was brought up earlier today by one of our dear participants. And that can also help us to be in the heart more and more. I like to recommend gratitude journals that are totally focused on the spiritual growth. What am I grateful for in terms of spiritual growth from today or in general over the last few weeks? And also focusing on gratitude too, on the reverence part of it. So I'm grateful to God for the spiritual growth, if you want to go with the vertical gratitude too, as well as the horizontal gratitude for.
Go ahead, Annie.
Yeah.
I think that's all I have to offer today.
Well, Annie has something to offer.
I just wanted to jump in, even I jumped in so late and was sorry for that, but I was so blessed, Elliott, by your meditation just then. I'm a career Montessori teacher, so I've been working with children age 6 and under for like 4 decades now, and you bringing in the child, inviting us to be accompanied by our inner child and just establishing that relationship, to me is just, wow, what a doorway. And I was so amazed and blessed when you went there with that, Elliott. And then right there where you're talking about gratitude, I mean, that is the natural way of the child, is to be thankful and grateful and in wonderment. So, wow, that's such a doorway. And I just wanted to affirm back to you what an amazing portal you're opening by bringing in the inner child and inviting us to befriend that child and to receive that child's love, back to us. So, yeah.
Did you want to say anything more about the child experience and how it was a rich experience for you?
Well, I have a picture of myself that I pulled out in the last just like 6 weeks, a picture of myself when I was about 18 months old. And my mom told me once that she took that picture of me because, it's before the days of blow dryers, and that and I've always had this straight hair, right? So that she had brushed my hair dry. And, little 18-month-old, just had, thinner than what I have now, which is pretty thin. So, but it's just a little picture of me, and I'm just sitting in the little kitchen chair with my shoes. And so when you brought that up, Elliott, I just immediately, I spend all my day, I can't even tell you how many hugs I gave today that I received today from children, 2, 3, 4, 5 years old today. I know I'm so blessed, but it just really, but I had never thought about, oh, what if my own little child self was here and I was holding her hand and she was sitting in my lap at that table that you invited us to. And just the way I try to be in my heart space when I give those children a hug, because they come and ask me for a hug, and you just see the smile on their faces. They feel that. And I don't know that any adult in my life knew how to be in their heart space like that so intentionally, the way that, I know now. And to be able to give that to my little child self, you know, it was just beautiful. I could get really emotional, but it was
Oh,
beautiful.
I'm so glad you were able to show up for your child and to show up for yourself, to have that moment of presence with the child. It's that really is such a gift, and the gift of life, the gift of relationships, including the gift of the relationship with the inner child. And if we can just start our days when we wake up with being grateful for this amazing treasure chest of gifts, including relationships, including the gift of our heart and our capacity to love and our eagerness to be kind. There's just, we all are just a treasure jewel, and the gratitude will help us see ourselves through the eyes of the heart and through God's eyes. The gratitude can help with all of that.
So beautiful, Elliott. Thank you so much. And you were getting a lot of thank yous in the chat. I know we just have about 3 minutes, and there's another, Shannon's on at 8:30 in the Gaia room. But also, Elliott, did you want to just say a couple things about Christian,
Yes.
who will be coming on next week?
Yes. Christian Gilberta has been my rebirther for years. If I were to draw his picture, it would just be a heart with some arms and legs. There are very few people in the world who would get that picture in my world. But maybe that's because I have distorted vision when I look at other people, and really all of us are just like that. So you won't want to miss him. And he's very much interested in power and in being a hero and empowerment. Very much interested in empowerment. I also want to invite everybody to please take advantage of my free guided visualization called Meditation for Appreciating Life. And you can get that if you just go to my website, www.elliotrobertsoncoach.com. It's available on the homepage for no charge.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much. And I know that a lot of people here have been, you know, Annie was one of our speakers. So many people have been conversationalists here. And it's so beautiful, this theme of the heart, because Annie brought a lot of that in as well. And it's just precious. So co-creators Convergence, if you know, you do feel so moved, please share with your friends about Co-Creators Convergence, about the conversation. There's so much happening with the press conference that is giving each and every one of us an opportunity to do exactly what you did tonight, Elliott, and then maybe connect in a little deeper with a few people that you really resonate with, and working even more closely, co-creating together more closely. So we just want to say a big thank you to everyone.